Okay. So our topic for today, we have your introduction to communicable diseases. Yeah. So wala pa tayo sa mga saktong sakit. Introduction muna tayo. Excuse me. So let's start with your epidemiology, the definition of epidemiology. So if we say epidemiology is the study of the occurrences, distribution, and determinants of health-related states or events in a specified population. Or kapag i-simplify natin ang definition ng epidemiology, it is the study of disease occurrences and distribution. Ganun lang. So you are studying the occurrences and the distribution of diseases, and that is your epidemiology. Yan. That is the definition of epidemiology. So always remember that the epidemiology is the backbone of the prevention of diseases or backbone of disease prevention. Okay? So pag tinanong ka sa board exam, what is the backbone of disease prevention? Your answer is epidemiology. So it's up to you kung mag-take down notes kayo. Kasi mamaya ko pa naman may isesend yung ating handouts. Yan. Or pwede makinig lang, tapos mamaya babalikan sa handouts. Yan. So we have your epidemiology. We have your study of the occurrences, distribution, and determinants of your health-related states or events in specified population. So ang importance po ng epidemiology, it serves as the backbone of disease prevention. From the word epide. Okay, epidemic is a disease outbreak. Ology is the study. Yan. Ology is study. So you are studying the outbreak of diseases. Kung paano siya nag-occur, kung paano po siya na-distribute or kumalat. Okay? So that is your word epidemiology, a backbone of disease prevention. So under your epidemiology, we have your epidemiologic triad. And this is a common board question. So pag sinabi mong triad, tatlo lamang po ang bumubuo sa element ng epidemiology. We have your host, the agent, and the environment. So pag narinig nyo, pag nabasa nyo sa board exam yung word na host, ang isagot nyo dito is human. Okay? So kasi primary host of your microorganism are human. Okay? Humans po ang ating primary host. Although may mga host tayo ng mga animals, tinatawag na natin sila mga host reservoir pag mga animals. Pero pag mga primary host po ang tinatanong, mga intermediate host, mga primary host, that is your human. Okay? So wag niyong kakalimutan. So we have your man as primary host of your microorganism. So ano yung mga sakit na ang pinaka-host po niya or reservoir niya ay tao? Madami. Meron tayong measles, meron tayong HIV, meron tayong measles, HIV, hepatitis. So ang pinaka-host natin dyan lagi ay tao. Okay? So ano pa? Agent. So pag ang nababasa sa board exam, what is the causative agent? What is the agent that causes this disease? Blah, blah, blah. Ang sagot natin dyan, pangalan ng mga mikrobyo. So don't be confused between your host and your agent. Pag tinanong ka sa agent, dapat ang sinasagot mo, it's either the name of the virus, the name of the bacteria, the fungi, or the parasite causing the disease itself. Okay? Kasi maraming nalilito dyan eh. Kung naman, tinanong sa board exam, what is the causative agent of rabies? Rabies disease. A, saliva. B, dog. C, contact. Or letter D, bats. Ano sagot natin doon? Siyempre, pag tinanong ka ng, letter D, virus. Pag tinanong ka ng causative agent, huwag mo isagot yung dog kasi hindi causative agent ang dog. Kaya ang sagot kapag causative agent, piliin mo yung mga pangalan ay virus, bacteria, fungi, parasite. Kasi yan yung isa kong napapansin sa mga students. Nalilito sila sa ating causative agent. Okay? From the word causative agent means what is the etiologic factor? Saan nanggaling yung sakit? Ano ang nag-cause ng sakit? So pag tinanong ka, what is the causative agent of typhoid? Alang isagot mo ang food and water, hindi yun tama. Kasi ang causative agent ay mga virus, bacteria, parasite, fungi, mga ganun dapat ang mga choices na nakikita mo. So typhoid fever is bacteria. Rabies is virus. Dengue is virus. Tetanus is bacteria. Gonorrhea is bacteria. Chlamydia is bacteria. So mga ganun po yung mga tanong sa board exam. So mga simple pero nakakabobo minsan. Bakit nakakabobo? Kasi di mo alam yung causative agent. Okay? Tinanong ka, causative agent ng dengue, sinagot mo, mosquito. Patay tayo dyan. Hindi po mosquito ang causative agent. Ang mosquito ay vector. Ang causative agent ng dengue ay virus. Okay? So ngayon pa lang, dapat alam nyo ng ibig sabihin ng causative agent. Causative agent means the microorganism that causes the disease. Okay? Next, environment. Pag sinabi natin environment, that is the extrinsic factor of your microorganism or the epidemiology. Again, ulitin ko, pag sinabi mong host, host is the intrinsic factor, agent is the etiologic factor, and the environment is the extrinsic factor. Okay, number one host is human. Agent, it can be a virus, a bacteria, a fungi, or parasite. And for environment, that is your extrinsic factor. Pwedeng weather po yan, school, mga ganyan. Saan nangyari yung transmission, ganun yun. Market, school, so yan yung mga environments natin. Malinaw po? So wag niyong kakalimutan. Again, nakuha po bang ibig kong sabihin sa host, agent, and environment? Okay, very good. So don't be confused. Ha? Di ko po marinig ang voice mo, sir. Audio check po tayo. Ayan, narinig ako kasi nag-yes naman kayo. Audio check, kapag di mo po naririnig, sir, pakipindot po yung ating microphone. Choose Wi-Fi. Okay, so clear naman. Okay, very good. Next, we have your, yan, example na lang natin sa ating SARS-CoV-2, ano? We have your COVID-19 disease. So, the COVID-19, ang agent po niya is the SARS-CoV-2. It is a virus. SARS-CoV-2 po yung ating agent. Ang host, tayo. Human are the host of your COVID-19. Tapos yung environment natin, depende kung saan mo nakuha yung ating virus. Pwede nga sa market, sa enclosed spaces, sa school, sa mall, yan, okay? So yun po yung example natin. Kung magtatanong man sila about your agent, host, and environment. So ganun lang po yun. So next, we have this important person. We have John Snow. Okay? John Snow is an anesthesiologist and he is known as the father of epidemiology. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. So who is the father of epidemiology? The answer is John Snow. Bakit naging father of epidemiology si John Snow? Kasi he is the scientist who studied the outbreak of cholera. Siya po yung nag-aral sa outbreak ng cholera or epidemic outbreak ng cholera sa Golden Square, Soho District, London noong 1850s. Kasi noong 1850s kasi nagkaroon ng outbreak ng cholera sa London. At yung nag-aral ng ating epidemiology of your cholera is no other than John Snow. Yan. So sabi ni John Snow, bakit ang dami nagkakaroon ng pagtatay at pagsusuka dito sa lugar na to? So ang ginamit ni John Snow para mapag-aralan niya ang cholera outbreak is gumamit siya ng spot map. So spot mapping is pioneered by John Snow. Siya po nag-pioneer ng spot mapping. Okay? So gumawa siya ng mapa, nilagyan niya ng cross na pula yung mga bahay na may cases ng cholera. Then napansin ni John Snow na yung cluster of cases ng cholera ay malapit sa isang pumping water station. So nalaman niya, parang karamihan ng mga may kaso ng cholera is malapit sa isang pumping water station. Hindi kaya ito yung nagkukos ng pagtatay nila. So yun yung ginawa niya. So pumunta siya doon tapos kinuha niya yung handle, yung hawakan ng poso or yung bomba o pumping kung tawagin natin. Tapos pinag-aralan niya at doon sinabit niya kay Robert Koch. At doon nakita ni Robert Koch na meron tayong agent of cholera. So take note ang agent ng cholera na-discover yan ni Robert Koch. Koch, yan yung naka-discover ng TB agent. Pero nag-aral talaga ng cholera outbreak ay si John Snow. Huwag niyong kakalimutan. So para matigil na at matapos na yung outbreak ng cholera dati, tinanggal ni John Snow yung handle ng water station or yung ating bomba kung tawagin. Okay? So tinanggal na yung ating handle at hindi na nag-i-give yung mga tao doon ng tubig. At doon nga natapos yung outbreak ng cholera. Okay? That is the end of your outbreak or epidemic of cholera in Soho District, London. O nakuha po ba yung kwento ni John Snow kung bakit po siya naging father of epidemiology? Yan, nakuha. Okay. So next, in epidemiology, we have this distribution and determinants. Pag ang pinag-usapan sa epidemiology is distribution, distribution refers to the descriptive type of epidemiology. Kasi pag sinabi po nating descriptive type of epidemiology, this is a type of epidemiology answering the question when, where, and who. Kasi kailangan mong i-describe. Okay? I-describe mo kung saan, kailan, at sino yung mga tinamaan ng sakit. That is your descriptive epidemiology. Pero pag sinabi mong analytic epidemiology, you are finding the cause and effect. Okay? You are finding the cause and effect relationship of your disease. What causes the disease? Okay? What are the effects of the disease to that person? So you are answering why and how also. Okay, again, why and how, paano nagkaroon ng sakit? Anong causative agent? Ano yung mga risk factors, bakit nagkaroon sila ng cholera? Ano yung mode of transmission? So yun, paano siya nahahawa? Why and how yung question na answerable by your analytic epidemiology. Nagets po ba? Again, pag descriptive, ano mga tanong ang sinasagot ng descriptive? Mga when, where, and who. Pag analytic, why and how. Kasi kailangan ng analysis. Ina-analyze mo. Okay? What causes the disease? What are the risk factors of the disease? And how is its mode of transmission? How it is transmitted to person to person. So yun yung sinasagot niya, how and why. So there is a difference between your descriptive epidemiology and your analytic epidemiology. So that is your epidemiology. So we have your epidemiology, we have your descriptive, and your analytic. Sabi ko kanina, in descriptive epidemiology, you are identifying the patterns of cases in a population. So you are answering the when, where, and who. Yan. When, where, and who. Okay? So in your descriptive epidemiology, you are using survey. You are using survey to find out the nature of the population affected by the disease. So ang kinokollect mo sa ating descriptive epidemiology ay yung demographic profile ng patients. So you are collecting the demographic profile of the population. So ano bang demographic profile na sinasabi ko? You are collecting the age, the sex, the occupation of your affected individuals or population. So that is your descriptive. But if you are studying the cause and effect or the relationship between your cause and effect of your disease, you are answering the why and how question of your epidemiology, you are doing an analytic epidemiology. Yan, analytic epidemiology. Again, pag ang kinokolekta mo is yung mga mode of transmission, yung mga risk factors ng sakit, so that is more on your analytic epidemiology. Pero pag ang kinokolekt mo ay yung mga demographic variables ng mga taong affected sa isang sakit, that is your descriptive epidemiology. Ano rin, nag-survey ka, nagtanong-tanong ka, kinolekta mo yung mga informations ng mga tinamaan ng sakit, like the name, the address, the age, the sex, the occupation. So yan yung ating descriptive epidemiology. Pero pag ang ninonote mo na, asan sila noon, anong ginagawa nila noon, paano sila nahawaan ng sakit, so that is more on analytic epidemiology. Okay? So naintindihan po ba yung ating descriptive sa ating analytic? So gano'n lang kasimple. Descriptive and analytic. Sir, pasensya na, nahuli ako. Okay lang po. Yan. Ano to? Meron tayong handouts niyan. Okay po, sige. O, kaka-start lamang po. Yan, okay? So that is short, two types of your epidemiology, the descriptive and the analytic epidemiology. Again, anong kinokollect mo kapag ito'y descriptive? The demographic variables of your individual or population. Ano mga demographic variables? Kapag nababasa nyo sa board exam, yung demographic variables, ito yung mga personal information ng pasyente. Patient name, address, age, occupation, birth date. So that is short demographic variables, descriptive type po yan ng epidemiology. Kasi you are answering your when, where, and who. Who is the person? Anong trabaho niya? Anong pangalan niya? Ilang taon na siya? Okay? So that is short descriptive epidemiology. Pero kapag ang ninonote mo na sa inyong survey ay yung mga presence of risk factors, like for example is yung mga smoking, drinking alcohol, so yung mga yon, mga risk factors ng sakit, improper sanitation, so yun yung ating mga risk factors. Analytic na po yun because you are now answering the question why and how, or the how and why of the disease. Okay? So how is it spread? Okay, paano ba ito kumalat? Ganun yun. So that is short analytic. So nagets po? That is short epidemiology. Nasa introduction pa lang tayo. Yan, yung mga reasons, mga cause and effect relationship. Next, we have now your patterns of occurrence and disease distribution. So ito lumalabas po sa board exam ito. Okay? So we have your patterns of occurrences of disease and its distribution. Number one is sporadic. Pag sinabi po natin sporadic, your keyword in your board exam is the intermittent occurrence of a few isolated and unrelated cases. Pag sinabi natin sporadic, it is the on and off disease cases. On and off. Ibig sabihin ng on and off, hindi po siya palagi ang naririnig na sakit. Minsan ka lang makarinig na, uy, meron na naman daw namatay na ganitong sakit. Uy, meron naman na ganito. Ganyan. That is your sporadic. In short, that is your unusual. Okay? Unusual pattern of cases. So we have your sporadic. So ang tawag dyan, on and off diseases. Seasonal kung tawagin natin. Seasonal diseases lang siya. So sporadic lang. So example lagi ng may sporadic diseases, kunwari magtatanong ang board exam, anong klase daw yung disease distribution ng sakit na rabies? Yan. Rabies is sporadic. Tetanus is sporadic. Tetanus. So wag niyong kakalimutan. Pag nakita mo tetanus is sporadic. And plagues, yung mga plagues natin, mga sakit na nakukuha sa mga daga. Yan. So rabies, tetanus, and plagues are examples of your sporadic diseases. Or yung mga hindi mo karaniwang naririnig, kunwari gonorrhea, trichomoniasis, tetanus, yun yung mga examples ng mga sporadic. Kalat-kalat yung kaso. May 3 kaso sa Region 1. Kunwari, may 3 kaso sa Region 1, 2 sa Region 2, 1 lang sa Region 3, tapos wala sa Region 4. Sa Region 5, merong 7, sa NCR, merong 8. Ganon po yun. That is your sporadic. Kalat-kalat yung kaso niya. Tapos unrelated yung cases. So few and isolated lang yung case. Okay? So huwag niyong kakalimutan. Hindi katulad ng ating endemic at saka mga epidemic. Again, pag few cases lang, isolated lang yung cases natin, kalat-kalat yung kaso ng rabies, may na-rabies sa barangay na ito, may na-rabies sa barangay na ito, that is short sporadic. Okay? Kalat-kalat yung kaso, hindi po siya clustered kung tawagin. Kasi pag clustered yung case, that is an outbreak. Pag localized naman yung ating sakit, that is endemic naman yun. Kapag given in a locality, may mga sakit na ganyan. So pag localized, that is endemic. Kapag few and isolated, that is sporadic. Example, sporadic, sabi ko nga, yung mga hindi mo karaniwang naririnig na sakit. Yung may na-rabies dyan, may na-tetanus dyan, may nagkaroon ng gonorrhea na kapitbahay mo, yung mga mangilan-ngilan lang. Okay? Mangilan-ngilan lang na sakit. That is sure is sporadic. Nagets po? Sporadic, scattered yung cases. S for S, scattered yung cases. Next, endemic. Pag sinabi po natin endemic, from the word endemic, there is a continuous occurrence or a constant presence. Constant presence of the disease. Ibig sabihin yan, hindi nawawala-wala yung sakit na yan sa isang lugar. Okay? Throughout a period of time, there is always a reported case of a certain disease in a given locality. Ibig sabihin yan, nasa geographical area yung sakit. Meron at merong nare-report na kaso sa isang locality. Kunwari, pag pumunta ka sa Palawan, hindi mawala-wala yung report of cases of malaria. Meron at merong namamalaria sa Palawan because malaria is endemic disease. Pumunta ka sa Caraga, Sarangani, yan. Caraga, sa Bicol region, meron at meron kang mababalitaang na filariasis. Pupunta ka sa Samar, Leyte at saka sa Bicol, meron at meron kang mababalitaang na schistosomiasis. So yan yung mga endemic na sakit sa Pilipinas. Okay? We have your malaria, filariasis, schistosomiasis. Ang ibig sabihin ng ating endemic is naka-localize na po yan. Na pagpupunta ka sa isang probinsya, matunog yung pangalan na sakit na yan kasi laging may nare-report na kaso. Okay? So endemic yan. There is a continuous presence of the disease in a certain locality or a certain region. Depende kung saan man po yan. Yan yung endemic natin. O nagets po ang pagkakaiba ng sporadic kay endemic. Si sporadic, konti lang yung kaso, kalat-kalat pa. Si endemic, parang nakatira na yan sa isang lugar, resident disease na yan. Na meron at meron kang maririnig na malaria kapag nasa Palawan ka. Meron at meron kang maririnig na schistosomiasis kapag nasa Samar and Leyte ka. Okay? So meron at meron kang makikitang may mga taong malalaki ang paa at malalaki ang suso kapag nasa Caraga ka. Kasi nga may filariasis doon. Kasi common yung filariasis sa lugar na yun. So yun yung ibig sabihin ng endemic. Constant means hindi nawawala. Hindi nauubusan o hindi nawawalan ng kaso. Okay? So they live with the disease. Kunwari is kapag nakatira ka sa Palawan, parang normal na yan. Hindi na yung mawawala dito yan. Malaria baka mo, lagi yan dito. That is endemic. Kasi nga continuous yung kanyang presence. Continuous yung kanyang occurrence. That is endemic. Nakuha po ba? Endemic. Nagets or hindi? Sporadic. Nagets or nagets? Nagets or nagets? Yan, nagets. Sir, yung sir sa Robinson ng Palaw. Anong Robinson ng Palaw? Hindi ko alam yan. Hindi ko alam yung ahas. Anong ahas yan? Baka yung ano naman yan. Myth na naman, yung mga kwento-kwentong bayan. Yan, okay. Paulit daw. Sporadic, scattered yung cases, few cases only. Ibig sabihin ng few, konti lang. May mga may nababalitaan ka lang na, oy, may namatay na naman daw na rabies. Yan, rabies na naman daw. O 3 daw namatay na rabies ngayon sa ating rehiyon. Ganun yun. Ganun lang, konti lang yung kaso. Pag endemic naman, laging may nare-report. Ibig sabihin yan, constant presence. So hindi nawawala yung sakit sa isang lugar. Constant presence of the disease in a given locality. Yan. Napunta na sa ahas. Okay, next. We have your number 3. Number 3, we have your epidemic. So epidemic is a common board question also. So epidemic is the unusual large number of cases in a relatively short period of time, usually in weeks. So there is an unusual increase in cases. Yan yung ibig sabihin ng epidemic. If there is an unusual increase in your cases in a clustered area, tawag mo doon outbreak. At yung outbreak na yon pwedeng mag-lead yan sa epidemic. Ang tawag doon, outbreak. Para masabi natin na epidemic ang isang sakit, there should be an unusual increase relatively in a short period of mula nung may na-report kang isang kaso ng dengue, biglang tumaas yung kaso niya. Kunwari, from 3 cases in NCR, biglang naging 1,000 plus or biglang naging 100 plus. That is epidemic already. Kasi given in a short period of time, biglang lumubo ang kaso. That is the term epidemic. Sa Tagalog, lumubo ang kaso sa ikling panahon or sa maikling panahon. So there is an unusual large number of cases in a relatively short period of time, usually about weeks lang. Tataas na po yung kaso niya. So that is epidemic. So we have your different types of epidemic. Example, we have your point source epidemic. Pag sinabi po nating point source epidemic, ito yung mga epidemics na galing sa ating food poisonings. Yan, mga food poisonings, may staphylococcal food poisoning, mga staphylococcal, mga ano pa yung mga food poisonings natin. Yan, staphylococcal food poisoning. Pumunta lang sa birthday yan, kumain ng pansit, nalason. So, staphylococcal yung mga yun. Mga carbohydrates, staphylococcal. Pumunta lang sa birthday ni Imelda Marcos, tapos nalason sila, that is staphylococcal, mga ganyan. Ano pa? Yung salmonellosis, yan. The protein product poisoning naman yun, salmonellosis. Kunwari, kumain ka ng itlog. Tapos yung itlog na yon hindi nahugasan. Panis na pala yun, mabaho na, kinain mo pa. So, mapupoison ka talaga doon. So, yun po yun. Ano pa? Kumain ka pa rin ng tahong. Alam mo na nga may amoy yung tahong, kinain mo pa rin, na food poison ka. Paralytic shellfish food poisoning. Maganon bagay-bagay ba? Kunwari, pumunta ka sa birthday yan, daming mga hotdog, kumuha ka ng hotdog, yan, kinain mo yung hotdog, panis ng hotdog. So, pwede kang magkaroon ng salmonellosis sa mga ganong bagay. Or, pwede rin magkaroon dyan ng tinatawag natin na listeriosis. Okay? So, any form of your food poisoning, it is classified as a point source epidemic. Not only food poisoning, water poisoning also. Yung kunwari, nag-igib lang kayo sa isang poso or water pumping station, tas nagtae na lahat ang mga kapitbahay mo kasama ng pamilya mo. So that is a point source epidemic. So food-related illnesses are classified as point source epidemic. Malinaw po? Pag mga foodborne illnesses po yan, that is classified as a point source epidemic. Bakit epidemic yan, sir? Kasi kung nababalitaan nyo, bigla-bigla nagbabalita ang TV natin, mga news natin na sasabihin na higit sa 100 ang isinugod sa isang ospital matapos silang dumalo sa isang birthday party, mga ganyan-ganyan. So in a relatively short period of time, masyadong mataas yung case ng sakit. Kaya siya tinawag na epidemic. Nagets po? So yun po yung ating epidemic. At pag sinabi mo namang cyclical pattern of your epidemic, dengue fever is the best example of your cyclical epidemic. Bakit cyclical? Kasi merong buwan sa buong taon na mababa ang kaso niya at may buwan sa buong taon na tumataas ang kaso niya. So there is a cycle of low cases and high cases of that certain disease. Na kapag nasa February to April ka pa lang, medyo kampante ka pa, wala pang masyadong nadedengge dyan. Pero pag sumapit ng tag-ulan, June to November, tatas na ang kaso ng dengue. Because there is a cycle of that epidemic. Kaya siya tinawag na cyclical epidemic. Okay? So pag sinabi mo namang secular trend epidemic, dito naman papasok si influenza at saka si measles. Bakit po siya secular? Kasi merong taon kung saan nag-outbreak ang influenza at merong taon din na nag-outbreak ang measles. Katulad ngayong 2020. Yan. So ano yung sakit na nag-outbreak at naging pandemic pa? Influenza. Anong klaseng influenza? The COVID-19. So tandaan yan, it is a form of flu. Kasi coronavirus is a virus which is the primary virus for flu. Okay? Or trangkaso. So yun nga lang, masyadong virulent siya that causes pandemic. So yun yun. So may mga taon na ano yan, uso ngayon yan, uso ang trangkaso ngayon. Kung nababalitaan nyo, pagdating ng February, January, sasabihin, dami na naman nagkakatrangkaso ngayon. Doon yun, nag-spike yung cases ng flu. Kasi nga, secular yung trend ng influenza. Ganon din sa measles. Bigla-bigla ang may part sa taon or may taon na lumulobo yung kaso ng measles. May taon naman na walang masyadong kaso ng measles. May taon na biglaang tumatas ang kaso ng measles. That is your secular epidemic. Then pag sinabi mo namang propagated, from the word propagated, pinaparami. So propagated epidemic is via person-to-person transmission naman yan. So pinaka-the best example naman ng propagated epidemic ay HIV or AIDS. Because several countries define HIV/AIDS as your global epidemic. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. Several countries define HIV/AIDS as a global epidemic. Anong klaseng epidemic kapag HIV? It is a propagated epidemic. Kasi nga, it is a human-to-human transmission. Malinaw po? Malinaw sa malinaw or hindi? Malinaw po ba ang epidemic? Ba't lumabas na naman ang mga pinklawan na yan? Okay, malinaw. Ayan, malinaw daw. So, nag-gets po sporadic, endemic, epidemic. Okay. Mas malinaw pa po sa case ni Jovelyn. Ay, ewan ko, inabangan ko din yan sa Jessica So kagabi. Wala din naman pala. Pinuyat lang ako ni Kumare. Nakakainis sa Jessica, namumuyat siya eh. May notes po ba tayo niyan, sir? Meron po ba? May isesend ko po yan. Oo nga. Sa aming pagbabalik, ganyan lagi si Jessica. Walang ya naman. Next. Okay, balik tayo dito. Next, number 4, pandemic. So ito pandemic, narinig niyo naman ng pandemic. Pandemic is the simultaneous. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng simultaneous? Sabay-sabay na pagkaroon ng pagtaas ng kaso ng iisang sakit sa iba't ibang bansa. Sa Tagalog po yun, para maintindihan nyo. Sabay-sabay pong tumaas ang kaso ng iisang sakit sa iba't ibang bansa. That is your pandemic. There is a simultaneous occurrence of an epidemic on a same disease in several countries, affecting a large number of the population. Kaya tinawag siyang pandemic. Okay? Kasi pag iisang bansa lang naman na nakakaranas ng sakit na yan, hindi yan pandemic. Pero pag ito ay nag-emerge na po yan sa iba't ibang continents or countries, tapos tumatas ng kaso ng sakit katulad sa ating COVID-19, then that is termed now as the pandemic. Take note, keyword is several countries. Okay? So there should be the word several countries. So ito na yung ating international diseases. Ito na yung ating worldwide distribution of a disease. Worldwide kasi meron sa US, meron sa Asia, meron sa Russia, meron sa Africa. So kalat-kalat na yung kaso at patuloy na tumataas yung bilang ng tinatamaan sa iisang klase ng sakit. So that's your pandemic. Okay? So marami tayong mga dumaang pandemic. Kadalasan tumatagal po ito 2 to 5 years. Yan, 5 years ang pinaka-maximum. Yan, bago siya mamatay. Pandemic will end if the R0 number is less than 1. Huwag niyong kakalimutan. If the reproductive number of the disease is less than 1, the pandemic will end soon or sooner. Pero paglagpas pa rin ng 1 yung R0 niya o yung reproductive number niya, hindi pa rin mawawala yung isang sakit. Pero pag patuloy na pababa, kunwari, nagiging 0 point something na siya, wala na siya sa 1 na R naught or reproductive number, matatapos na yung pandemic. So that is the end of pandemic kapag nag-less than 1 na yung R naught natin. And good news tayo kasi bumababa na naman ang kaso ng ating COVID-19. Yan. Pero nandyan pa rin siya. Yan, nandyan pa rin siya. We have now your pandemic diseases. MERS Corona. Bakit tinawag na natin pandemic ito? Kasi nagkaroon ng kaso yan sa Middle East, nagkaroon sa South Korea, nagkaroon sa ibang bansa, sa US, etc. Asian flu, Spanish flu, yan, maraming namatay sa Spanish flu. Around 40 to 50 million deaths. Next, the Antonine Plague, the meningococcemia, the AH1N1 of North America, the Black Death o yung tinatawag natin na bubonic plague by Yersinia pestis bacteria, kung saan ito ay dinadala ng mga daga. Yan, lumalabas sa board exam, Black Death is the other name for your bubonic plague. Bubonic plague or the Black Death. Yan. So it is caused by a bacteria known as the Yersinia pestis bacteria carried by your oriental rat flea. Kuto ng daga. So yun, kuto ng daga. So para maiwasan natin yung mga ganitong mga sakit, outbreaks, iwasan natin magpagkagat sa mga kuto. Kahit anong klase ng kuto, pwedeng kuto ng daga, garapatan ng aso, garapatan ng daga, ng rabbit or kuneho. So iwasan natin yan kasi hindi natin alam kung ano mga virus or bacteria ang dala ng mga garapatang yan. Okay? So yun. So katulad niya, no, yung Black Death dati, ang daming namatay sa Black Death sa Europe. Winash out niya yung half-third ng population ng Europe. Kaya siya tinawag na the Black Death. Kasi that is the dark ages of Europe. Madaming namatay sa Europe dati because of your Black Death or the bubonic plague caused by bacteria. Anong bacteria? Yersinia pestis bacteria carried by your oriental rat flea. Kuto ng daga. Next, some countries define HIV as pandemic. Pero kapag lahat-lahat ng mga bansa, ang tawag nila sa HIV is a global epidemic. Next, Ebola and your COVID-19. Yan, yung COVID-19 natin. So yan yung pinaka-recent natin na pandemic. Yan, pinaka-recent natin na pandemic. At yung isa ngayon na binabantayan as a global health emergency, we have your monkeypox. So yun yung ating pandemic diseases. Okay. So malinaw po. Yan. Okay, so sabihin niyo sa akin kung anong klaseng sakit po ito. Kung ito ba ay sporadic, endemic, epidemic, or pandemic. Ready? Sporadic, endemic, or epidemic, or pandemic. Ready or hindi pa? Acknowledge ako. Pwedeng first letter na lang. Ay, hindi pala pwede kasi may dalawang letter E. Endemic tsaka epidemic. Okay, ready na daw. Tetanus. Mabagal kayo. Tetanus. Okay. Malaria. Oh, mali. Malaria is endemic. Or delayed lang ako. Malaria, endemic. Very good. Endemic. Okay. How about dengue? Dengue. Endemic. Mali. Epidemic. Okay, very good. Dengue is epidemic. Cyclical epidemic. How about your rabies? Rabies infection. Rabies. Sporadic. How about your tetanus? Tetanus? Okay, sporadic. How about COVID-19? COVID-19. Pandemic. How about Ebola? Ebola. Pandemic. How about your bubonic plague? Bubonic plague. Pandemic. How about your schistosomiasis? Schistosomiasis. Okay. Schistosomiasis is okay, very good. The next after ng ating disease distribution, we have now your RA 3573. Yeah, so under your RA 3573, it is the law on reporting of notifiable diseases. Yeah, the law of your notifiable diseases. Law on reporting notifiable diseases. So itong RA 3573 natin, health professionals and community members are mandated by this law to report to the provincial and duty health office any occurrences of diseases emerging in the community. Okay? So a midwife must report under the supervision of a public health nurse. Tandaan yan. So, what are the diseases to be reported urgently? So, kapag meron kang na-note na measles or polio outbreak sa isang community, you must report it to the city health office or provincial health office within the first 24 hours of occurrence. Ulitin ko, pag may na-note ka po nag-outbreak o nagkaroon ng kaso ng measles or polio sa isang community, kailangan mong i-report agad ito. Why? Because measles and polio are one of the most contagious communicable diseases. Isa po ito sa mga pinakamabilis ihawa na sakit. So pwede po itong maging epidemic agad kapag napabayaan. Kasi measles can be transmitted via airborne. Yan. Airborne and your droplets. Polio can be transmitted also via your fecal-oral route. So, pag meron ka nalaman na case ng measles at saka polio, kailangan ma-report mo daw yan according to RA 3573 in 24 hours period. Then, in a week naman, kailangan mong ma-report kapag meron kang nabalitaan nagkaroon ng tetanus neonatorum, severe and acute diarrhea, and HIV. Kailangan kapag meron kayong na-detect na nag-HIV positive, kailangan nyo itong i-close monitor para siya po ay makatanggap ng gamutan. Tandaan niyan, kailangan kasi niya mag-antiretroviral therapy. Minsan kasi may mga cases ng HIV na alam na nga ng City Health Office na nag-positive yung isang patient, hindi nila fina-follow up. Ngayon, itong HIV positive na to, never siya nag-take ng gamot hanggang sa namatay na lang. Okay? So, kapag may HIV kasi siya, pwede siyang gamutin pa. Okay? Pero hindi na siya ma-cure. Maproprolong lang yung life niya, madedelay lang yung complication. So, manunumbalik lamang yung kanyang lakas, pero hindi na matatanggal yung kanyang sakit. For life nang nasa katawan niya yung HIV. Pero at least man lang is naggamutan siya para humaba pa yung kanyang buhay. Okay? So yun. So within a week, kailangan i-follow up mo kapag merong nabalitaang tetanus neotorum, acute diarrhea, and HIV. Within a week po yan. Mandate by your RA 3573. Law on reporting of notifiable diseases. Okay, reporting from the barangay level is the function or role of your midwife. It is a role of your midwife. Okay? Tapos, i-report niya sa municipal health office. Then the nurse will make a report. Then the nurse will submit the report to the provincial health office. So that's your RA 3573. Pero ngayon, may bagong patas po tayo na nagkaroon ng COVID. We have your RA 11332. Di ba yung isa RA 11223? O ano yung RA 11223? Sige nga kung naalala nyo pa. What is RA 11223, nurses and midwives? Okay, very good. UHC. UHC po yun. Very good. O mali yung kalusugan pangkalahatan. Tama, kalusugan pangkalahatan. UHC. How about yung RA 11332? Pag RA 11332 naman, nurses and midwives, ito naman yung mandatory reporting of notifiable diseases. Pag 5 numero na yung Republic Act, bagong batas po yan. Pag 4 na numero, mga lumang batas po yan. Tandaan yan. Pag mga 5 numero, yan yung mga amendments ng mga lumang batas. So, RA 11332 amends your RA 3573. So, ibig sabihin yan, ito na yung ating bagong batas. So, it is a mandatory reporting of notifiable diseases and health events of Public Health Concern Act. So, surveillance and response to notifiable diseases, epidemics, and health events of a public health concern. So, dito sa ating RA 11332, more on surveillance and response na po tayo dito. Tapos, andito rin yung ating reporting of your public health concerns. Yung mga subvariants ng COVID. Kailangan i-report kapag may natuklasan na namang bagong subvariants niya or lineage ng virus. Maganon yan. So, that is your RA 11332. Mandatory reporting of your notifiable diseases. 11332. Nagets po? Next topic, the chain of infection. Chain of infection sa Tagalog, kadena ng infection. Yan. So pag kadena, pwedeng putulin yan. You can break the chain. You can break the chain of infection. Tandaan niyo yan. So madali lang naman i-break ang chain of infection kapag alam mo yung kanyang mga yung kanyang mga mode of transmissions, causative agents. So yan, madali lang naman siyang i-break basta alam mo yung nature of the disease. That is your mode of transmission. Chain of infection. Okay. So under your chain of infection, we have your first chain is the agent. Siyempre, punta muna tayo sa agent. The causative agent of the disease. Pag sinabi natin causative agent of diseases, we have your bacteria, virus, parasites. So ano yung mga lumalabas sa board exam about yung mga sakit na ganito, yung mga tinatanong what is the agent of this disease? Sa bacteria, ang lumabas na po dyan, typhoid. Ano pa? Gonorrhea. Ano pa? Chlamydia. So mga ganyan ang tanong dyan. What is the agent? What is the causative agent that causes gonorrhea? Bacteria. What is the causative agent that causes chlamydia? Bacteria. What is the causative agent that causes typhoid? Bacteria. Mga simple lang pero minsan pag di mo talaga alam, mapapanganga ka pa rin. Okay? So nice to know na alam mo yung mga causative agent mo. Ano pa? Sa mga viruses naman, ang mga tinanong na sa board exam, what is the causative agent that causes rabies? Virus. What is the causative agent that causes dengue? Virus. So yan yung mga tinanong na sa board exam. Tinanong na sa board exam. So kailangan alam mo pa rin yung ibang sakit. Ano pa ba yung mga virus natin? Polio is a virus. Although hindi pa tinatanong, kailangan alam niyo yan. Polio. Measles, tinanong na rin pala itong measles. Measles, lumabas na rin sa board exam. What is the causative agent of measles? It is a virus. Okay. Ano pa? Polio. We have your measles. We have your mumps. Yan. Mumps or parotitis is virus also. Sa parasites naman, ang lumabas na pong parasite ay scabies. Yan. Scabies. Lumalabas sa board exam. So again, what is the causative agent of typhoid? Bacteria. Causative agent of gonorrhea? Bacteria. Causative agent of chlamydia? Bacteria. How about the causative agent of rabies? Virus. Dengue, rabies, polio. Dengue virus, polio virus, mumps virus, measles virus. How about your scabies? Parasites. Ganun lang. So, those are the causative agents. O, nasasabayan po ba ako? Pack knowledge po tayo kung medyo di nakakasabay. Yan, pati chicken pox, very good. Yes, yan. Sige nga, magtatanong ako. Wala dito sa akin sinabi pero magtatanong ako. Tingnan natin kung masagot nyo ng tama. Sa agent pa lang po tayo. Magtatanong ako, tingnan ko kung masasagot nyo ng tama. Already? Sabihin nyo lang kung ito ay virus, bacteria, parasite, or fungi. Yan, ready daw. Sige daw. Okay. Okay, ready. Sabihin nyo kung bacteria, virus, parasite, or fungi. Ringworm. Ringworm. O, di ba nagkamali agad yung iba? Parasite ang sinagot nila. Fungi po ang ringworm. Tapos na po natin yan sa ating Acapulco, di ba? Sinabi ko yan, fungi. Ringworm, fungi. Next, gonorrhea. Gonorrhea. Bacteria. Chlamydia. Chlamydia. Bacteria. Diphtheria. Diphtheria. Bacteria. Chlamydia is not rickettsia. Okay, wag yung kasi may mga notes kasi at may mga notes tsaka books kasi na ang chlamydia ay dinedefine po na rickettsia. Okay? So for your board sake, sagot nyo sa board exam, bacteria ang chlamydia. Okay? Kasi may mga notes at tsaka books kasi na dinefine nila ang chlamydia as rickettsia. Nabasa ko na din yun dati. So bacteria po siya. Isa pa. Monkeypox. Monkeypox. Virus. Very good. Chickenpox. Chickenpox. Okay. Basta may mga rashes, virus po yun ha. Basta may mga rashes. Measles. Measles. Virus. Dengue. Dengue. Dengue, virus. Yan, virus pa rin siya. How about your pertussis? Pertussis. Bacteria, very good. Pertussis is bacteria. How about your pneumonia? Pneumonia. Common cause of pneumonia. Bacteria. How about your COVID-19? COVID-19, virus. How about your Lysa? Lysa. Lysa is virus. Ano bang Lysa? Rabies. Yan. Lysa is rabies. Lysa is rabies, virus. How about typhoid? Typhoid. Okay, bacteria. How about malaria? Malaria. 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 Wala nakatama. Malaria is a parasite. Malaria is a parasite. It's not a bacteria. It is not a virus. It is a parasite. Malaria is a parasite. For your information, malaria is a parasite. Next, how about your filariasis? Filariasis. Parasite. Schistosomiasis. Parasite. Very good. Schistosomiasis, parasite pa rin. How about your trichomoniasis? Parasite pa rin. Okay? Di porket cis ang end is parasite ha. Mamaya sinabi salmonellosis, nagparasite ka na naman, mali na yon. How about salmonellosis? Salmonellosis. Bacteria, very good. Bacteria. How about giardiasis? Giardiasis. Giardiasis. Giardiasis is parasite. Very good. Giardiasis is parasite. How about amoebiasis? Amoebiasis. Amoebiasis. Bacteria. Very good. Yan. Amoebiasis is bacteria. How about your cholera? How about your cholera? Bacteria. Okay, so yun lang. So at least dapat alam nyo what is the causative agent of a certain disease. Okay, so that's your agent. Next, after ng ating agent, next is the reservoir. Reservoir. Pag sinabi mong reservoir, the natural habitat of the microorganism for the survival. Okay? For its survival. Without the reservoir, microorganism cannot live for long. Okay? Mamamatay sila kasi wala yung kanilang natural habitat. So ano ba yung mga reservoirs natin? People can be reservoir. Humans can be reservoir. Ano yung mga sakit na human ang reservoir niya na sinabi ko? Measles, HIV, hepatitis, yan. TB, yan. So we are the reservoir of those diseases. Ano pa? Pwede rin maging reservoir ang mga animals or pets. Ano mga pwedeng dalhin ng mga animals, pets natin? Like your dogs, cats. Pwede sila magdala ng mga viruses like your tinatawag natin na rabies. Sila yung mga vector reservoir kung tawagin natin. Wild animals. Ano pa? Food. Food can also be a reservoir. Soil can be a reservoir. Ang soil, that is the number one reservoir of your tetanus and your toxoplasmosis and your anthrax. Sa mga manures kasi yan. Manures ng pusa kapag toxoplasmosis, manures ng mga baka kapag anthrax. So yun. Soil can be a reservoir of those diseases. Sa water naman, it can be reservoir of cholera, giardiasis, etc. Yan. Ang water naman pwede maging reservoir yan ng cholera at saka giardiasis. Okay, so nakakasabay pa po ba? So pag sinabing reservoir, it is the natural habitat of your microorganism for its survival. So reservoir ang tawag natin doon. Next, portal of exit. After ng reservoir, lalabas sila sa bahay nila. Ano bang bahay nila? Reservoir. Lalabas sila by its portal of exit. So kung tao yung reservoir ng isang sakit, the microorganism will exit the human via its vomitus and saliva. By means of its blood kapag may sugat siya. By means of your poops kapag siya po ay pumupo. The feces, the vomitus, the feces, the blood. So ang tawag mo doon, portal of exit. Lumabas po yan sa actual board exam. Ang tawag mo doon sa blood, sa sa blood, sa body fluids. Tawag mo doon portal of exit. Yan, portal of exit po ang tawag natin doon. Lumabas na yan sa actual board exam. Yung ating mga blood, mga vomitus, at saka mga feces. Ang tawag mo doon is the portal of exit of diseases. So some portal of exit is similar also to your portal of entry. So after ng portal of exit natin, next is the mode of transmission. Pag sinabi natin mode of transmission, how germs get around and transmitted to others. Paano po siya na ipapasa sa iba? Mode of transmission. So always remember in epidemiology, it is considered as the weakest link in the chain of infection. Pinaka-weakest link po ito, pinakamahinang kadena. Why? Kasi if you know the mode of transmission of a certain disease, you can easily break the chain of infection by hand washing. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. Pag alam mo na ang mode of transmission, alam mo nang gagawin mo. Alam mo pala na airborne ng measles, and bakit di ka magsuot ng N95 mask? Para hindi ka mahawaan ng measles. So you break the chain of infection by means of your mode of transmission. And the simplest way to break the chain of infection in mode of transmission is the performance of your hand hygiene or your hand washing. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. It is the simplest and most effective way to break the chain of infection under its mode of transmission. Okay? So, karamihan ng sakit ay naipapasa via contact transmission. So to prevent contact transmission, you must always perform hand washing. Okay? Hand washing po ang tatandaan natin. Other diseases can be transmitted via droplets, via ingestion, via airborne, and via bloodborne. Okay? So wag niyo kakalimutan. So that is the mode of transmission kung tawagin natin. Next, portal of entry. Paano sila papasok? Usually, microorganism enters the body via the mucous membranes. If there's a cut in your skin, that is the entry point of your microorganism. If splashes of body fluids comes contact with your mucous membrane, like in your eyes, your mouth, then that is a portal of entry. Kunwari nagpapaanak ka, wala ka man lang goggles, wala ka man lamang mask, ngayon biglang bumulwak yung dugo, sumirit doon sa bibig mo. Tapos yung bibig mo, may mga chops-chops pa yung bibig mo. Hinangin yung bibig kaya may mga sugat-sugat. So ngayon, pwedeng yung nanay na merong palang hepatitis B na tumalsik yung dugo niya sa inyong bibig. So pwede kang mahawaan ng hepatitis B. And that is the entry point of the microorganism. Your chapped lips. So kailangan nakamask ka, naka-goggles ka, naka-shoe protector ka kapag may mga ganyang patient, may mga HIV, may mga hepatitis B, or mga bloodborne illnesses. So yun. Next, pinaka last part ng ating mode of ng ating chain of infection is the susceptible host. Pag sinabi nating susceptible host, they are the vulnerable individuals. Vulnerable individuals kasi sila po yung pinaka may weakest immunity pa against certain infection. Sino yan? Babies or newborns. Sino pa? Children. Sino pa? Elderly. Sino pa? People with weakened immune system or mga immunocompromised, like people with HIV, leukemia, or any form of cancer. Or unimmunized people. Yan, mga hindi nabakunahan. Or anyone taking drugs like your chemotherapy and your high doses of corticosteroid. Sila po yung mga kino-consider natin na mga susceptible individuals or vulnerable ones. So that is the chain of your infection. From the causative agent to reservoir to the portal of exit and mode of transmission, followed by the portal of entry, and last is our susceptible host. So any question po sa ating chain of infection? Nakasabay? May natututunan po ba? May kumakapit naman ba kahit pa isa-isa, ganyan? So ang gawin nyo para mas kumapit talaga siya, manood pa rin kayo ng recordings natin. Point of entry, yung mga point of entry, similar po siya sa point of exit. Yan. Kung paano lumabas, gano'n din siya pumasok. Siyempre, labas-pasok lang. Lumabas, pumasok, lumabas, pumasok sa isang lugar. Okay. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan ha, that is the chain of infection. Again, anong chain of infection? Kapag sinabing natural habitat for microorganism survival and its multiplication, ano po yung chain of infection na yun? It is a chain of infection where microorganisms natural habitat for survival and multiplication. Reservoir, very good. Yan. Tips po para madali ma-memorize ang causative agent ng sakit. Pero niyan sa handouts, may mnemonics ako doon. Yan, bibigay ko mamaya. Okay na? So yan. Okay, isa-isayin natin. Hindi lamang yung ating yung lecture doon. Agent. Agent is defined in communicable disease as any microorganism capable of producing an agent. Okay? So yun. So any microorganism capable of producing an agent. So take note, hindi naman talaga yung bacteria ang nagkukos ng sakit, kundi yung pinoproduce nilang mga toxins. Yan. So once na pumasok po sila sa ating katawan, they are producing your toxins, mga bacteria. Pag virus naman, they are hijacking our cells. Hina-hijack nila yung cells natin, ginagawa nilang factory para makaparami po sila. Yun naman yung trabaho ng isang virus. Oo. Pero pag isang virus lang pumasok sa katawan mo, nalabanan ng immune system mo, wala kang sakit. Pero pag yung isang virus na yan, hinijack niya yung body cell mo, ginawa niyang factory, nagparami siya ng kanyang replica, so that is a disease na. So that is your agent. Any microorganism capable of producing an agent. Pwedeng bacteria, pwedeng virus, pwedeng fungi, pwedeng parasite. Yan. That is the agent. So how can we break the chain of infection under the causative agent? So take note dito pa lamang sa first chain of infection natin, pwede mo nang tapusin yung chain of infection. Oo, pwede mo nang i-break yung chain under the agent. Paano? By means of your disinfection, by means of your sterilization, by means of your radiation. So yan yun. Marami tayong mga ways na pwedeng pamatay sa mga mikrobyo. Number one, disinfection. If we say disinfection, it is the killing of the microorganism but not including their spores. Pinatay mo lang yung microorganism but not their spores. So, hindi complete na namatay or nawala yung ating disease-causing agent. Kasi spores can still cause a disease. So, you just kill the microorganism but not the spores. That is the disinfection. At ang tawag natin sa mga solutions na ginagamit natin ay disinfectants. Okay? You can disinfect your animate and inanimate objects. Tandaan nyo na, you can use disinfection in animate and tsaka animate objects. Ibig sabihin yan, you can do disinfection for both living and non-living things. So you can disinfect yourself and you can disinfect your things. So that is the word disinfection. But in your sterilization, you cannot sterilize animate objects. Hindi mo pwedeng i-sterilize ang sarili mo. Alangan naman pakuluan mo yung katawan mo. Alangan naman ipa-radiation mo ang katawan mo. Alangan naman ipa-autoclave mo yung katawan mo. Only for inanimate objects po ang sterilization. Tandaan niyo yan. Unlike kay disinfection, you can use it for both inanimate at saka animate objects. Sa sterilization, you can only do it for your inanimate objects or mga non-living things. Mga bagay-bagay lang. So the difference between disinfection and your sterilization is the spore killing. In disinfection, you are not killing their spores. But in sterilization, you completely kill all living things. Pinatay mo na yan. Lahat, pati yung kanyang cell wall membrane, the nucleus of the cell, the spores of your cell. So that is your sterilization. Complete killing of microorganism po yan. Huwag niyong kakalimutan. The word is complete killing of all microorganism. Bakit? Kasama na po bang tao dyan kapag in-sterilize mo, mamamatay din ng tao? Yes. Okay? Complete killing of all microorganism or living things. That is your sterilization. Sa hospital, the most common method of sterilization is the autoclaving. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. Autoclaving. So the requirement for autoclaving for your forceps equipments na binabalot natin ng tela, kailangan meron siyang 15 pounds pressure. Yan, 15 pounds pressure or the PSI. Moist heat method with 250 degrees Fahrenheit or approximately 121 degrees Celsius. And that is a common board question, autoclaving. Yung kanyang PSI, tinatanong yan, 15 PSI. SATA question po ito. SATA question. Ibig sabihin ng SATA, select all that apply. Piliin mo yung 15 PSI, piliin mo yung moist heat method, at piliin mo yung 250 degrees Celsius. Kasi yan yung requirement ng complete autoclaving sterilization process. Then paano mo daw malalaman na successful na yung autoclaving mo? If your autoclave material strip turns to black. So black strips suggest successful autoclaving. That is a common board question. Pag kulay brown, hindi pa masyado. Pag light brown, hindi masyado. Pag puti, hindi pa yan. Pag black na yan, okay na yan. Lutong-luto na yung ating material or equipment. Okay? So malinaw po. Pag mga glass po, hindi po yan ino-autoclave. Only metallic materials. Pag mga glass, hindi yan ino-autoclave. Alangan naman na i-autoclave mo yung mga babasagin, edi pumutok-putok na doon sa autoclave machine. Okay? So yun yung common sense na lang tayo doon. Okay? So that's your autoclaving, a form of sterilization. Okay, so you can kill now your microorganism by means of your disinfection and sterilization. Okay na. Okay. Ano yung kaya pala? Ano yung kaya pala po? Ano yung kaya pala? Ma'am Sheena, ano yun? Okay, sige. Coffee break muna tayo. Saglit lang. Ako naiihi din. Excuse lamang po. Kailangan po natin magpagpag. Magpapagpag lang po tayo. O yung gustong magpagpag dyan, magpagpag muna't mamunas. Huwag lang lakasan yung pagpag kasi baka mamaya pagbalik mo hilong-hilo ka na. Sinauntog-untog na yung ulo. Sobrang haba na untog yung ulo. Ten minutes lang. So next, after ng ating breaking the chain of infection by your causative agent, we have your breaking the chain of infection by its reservoir. So sa reservoir natin, sabi natin kanina, reservoir is the natural habitat in which the agent normally lives, normally grows, and multiplies. So dito po sila nagpaparami. So it includes your human, animals, and the environment reservoir. Sa human natin, meron tayong mga sikat na sakit dito na ang reservoir niya ay tao. Example, we have your measles, we have your mumps, yan, measles, common board, mumps, HIV, and other sexually transmitted infections. So, bukod tanging tao lamang po yung reservoir natin dyan. Sa animal reservoir naman natin, sa anthrax, we have your sheep manures, yan. And sa rabies naman, number 1 reservoir natin dyan or vector is dog. Sa environmental reservoir, we have your soil for histoplasmosis. Yung isa pa is the toxoplasmosis galing sa tae ng pusa. Okay, kung saan yung garden soil, kapag contaminated yung garden soil, then it can also cause toxoplasmosis infection, especially for pregnant mothers. Yan. So, toxoplasmosis is a teratogenic infection for pregnancy. So, nakukuha po yan sa garden soil contaminated with cat feces. Yan, reservoir. So, take note, may mga tao tayong tinatawag na carrier diseases. Yan, disease carrier persons. So, a person or animal that harbors a specific infectious agent without discernible clinical disease and serves as potential source of infection. So ito po yung mga taong dala-dala nila yung mga mikrobyo ng sakit pero hindi mo sila makitaan ng sintomas ng sakit. They appear still healthy but they are the carrier of the causative agent of a certain disease. Example natin dyan, HIV. Hindi lahat ng mga nakikita mong gwapo at magaganda ay sterile. Yung iba dyan, contaminated pala. Ano ibig sabihin ng contaminated? Wala kang makikita sa kanilang bakas na sila ay HIV positive kasi nga napaka-healthy kung tingnan. Walang signs and symptoms ng sakit. Okay? Pero, di natin alam, sila na pala ang nagkakalat ng cases ng HIV. So that is your carrier kung tawagin. They carry the agent but they don't show any signs and symptoms of the disease. Tawag dyan, carrier. Okay? Carrier ang tawag natin doon. So nakuha po ba ang ibig natin sabihin diyan? So kumbaga sa ating COVID-19, ito yung mga taong tinatawag natin na asymptomatic person. Yung nagpa-positive sila sa mga RT-PCR, nagpa-positive sila sa mga COVID antigen test, pero wala naman silang nararamdaman na kahit ano. So ang tawag mo doon, asymptomatic persons. And they are still capable to transmit the disease. So pero kapag hindi mo kitaan ng signs and symptoms ngayon, pero pag dumaan yung mga araw, may mga signs and symptoms, tawag mo naman doon is pre-symptomatic persons. Yan. So iba yung ating pre-symptomatic sa ating carrier and your asymptomatic. So yun. So carrier, dala-dala nila yung infectious agent, pero sa kanila, hindi mo makita yung signs and symptoms ng sakit. They still appear healthy, but they carry now the causative agent as a potential source of infection to others. That is your carrier. Nakuha po ba ang carrier natin? So that is your carrier. So sila yung mga, ay, ang gwapo, ay, ang ganda. Ganon, okay? Tapos, biglang nalaman-laman mo, may HIV pala. Dapat, sir, di sila mangdama if carrier sila ng HIV. Kawawa naman yung madadamay. May mga tao kasi na hindi rin naman nila alam yung status nila. May mga tao kasi na tsaka lang naman kasi nagpapatis kapag nakakaramdam na sila ng sintomas. Okay? Pero kung alam mo sa sarili mo yung inyong behavior, kung ikaw ay risky behavior, so alam mo dapat nagpapatis ka every 3 to 6 months. Yan, every 3 to 6 months dapat nagpapatis ka sa HIV. Ganun yun, para maprotektahan mo ang sarili mo at yung ibang tao. Oo, so yun. Okay, next, let's talk about your portal of entry, kung di nagkakamali. Exit. After ng ating reserva, we have your portal of exit. So, portal of exit is the path by which a pathogen leaves its host. So, sabi natin, there are many portals of exit that are identical to the portals of entry. Example, the influenza and TB exits the respiratory tract, while the cholera bacteria exit in the feces. So yun po yun. So feces, blood, and other body fluids are examples of portal of exit. Kasi lumabas po yan sa board exam. Okay? So ano daw ang tawag mo doon sa mga bloods, feces, body fluids? Tawag mo doon, portal of exit. Okay? Portal of exit. So influenza and TB exits the respiratory tract, while cholera bacteria exits your feces. So in short, influenza and TB can be airborne droplets, while your cholera is a fecal-oral route. Fecal-oral kasi lumabas sa feces, then papasok sa oral. Fecal-oral. Okay? Fecal-oral. Next, mode of transmission. So under the mode of transmission, sabi ko kanina, it is considered as the weakest link in the chain of infection. Weakest link yan. Kasi it can be easily break by your hand washing. So always remember that hand washing is the number one way to stop the transmission of infection. So as nurses and midwives, we must always be minded about the 5 moments of your hand washing. So meron tayong WHO 5 moments of hand washing. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. So that is the simplest, most effective, yan. Single most effective and important technique to use in preventing and controlling the transmission of infection. Ang tawag doon, hand hygiene or the hand washing. Okay? So let's talk about your hand washing after this. Okay? So again, so mode of transmission, MOT is the weakest link in the chain of infection. Pinakamahina sa lahat. Kasi kung alam mo na kasi ang mode of transmission ng sakit, alam mo na kung paano mo siya iiwasan. Alam mo na siya kung paano siya lalabanan. That is your mode of transmission. At isa sa pinakamabisang panlaban natin para hindi tayo mahawaan ng sakit ay ang ating hand washing. So number one way to stop the transmission of infection is hand washing. Okay? So it is the most effective and important technique to stop and to control transmission of infectious microorganism. Again, ang tawag doon, hand hygiene or the hand washing. So in your hand washing, we have your 3 elements. The 3 elements of hand hygiene or hand washing. Number 1, soap. So ang recommended by WHO, better to use your liquid soap than your bar soap. Liquid soap. So ang pinaka-recommended lamang na ml ng soap is 1 to 3 ml. Not more than 5 ml. Because more than 5 ml of soap is a wastage of medical supply. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. So 1 to 3 ml lamang po yung kailangan natin na sabon para panlinis ang ating kamay. Another element is your running clean water. Running clean water. Then, the most important element is the friction. Mechanical intervention ang tawag dyan. Mechanical intervention means friction. Kailangan may friction kasi useless ang paghuhugas ng kamay kung hindi mo po siya pinag-rarab or hindi mo siya kinukuskus. So there should be a friction in your hand washing because that is the most important element rather than your soap and your water. Kasi kahit walang sabon, pwede ka pa rin mag-hand wash basta may tubig. Pero pag walang tubig at sabon, pwede kang gumamit ng alcohol-based sanitizers. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. Okay? So you cannot use alcohol-based sanitizers if your hands are visibly dirty. Yan yung sinasabi ng WHO at CDC. Tsaka lang po recommended ang paggamit ng hand-based sanitizers kung malinis ang kamay mo, walang dirt na nakikita. Yun lang. Pero pag visibly dirty yung kamay mo, hindi ka dapat gumagamit ng hand-based sanitizers. Kailangan mo munang hugasan ito ng tubig at sabon. Nagets po? So the alternative of hand washing for a non-visibly soiled hand is your 60% hand-based sanitizer. Yan, 60% ethanol hand-based sanitizer. At least 60%. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. Kung walang tubig at sabon at hindi naman sobrang dumi ang kamay mo, you can use your at least 60% hand-based sanitizer. Pero pag sobrang dumi yung kamay mo, hindi mo pwedeng gamitin yung hand-based sanitizer. Yan yung protocol ng WHO tsaka CDC. So tsaka ka lang pwedeng gumamit ng mga hand-based sanitizers kung hindi masyadong madumi yung kamay mo. Okay? So yun. Pero kapag dugu-duguan yung kamay mo, wala ka naman mag-hand sanitizer ka lang, mali. You must wash your hands first before using your hand-based sanitizer. Pero sir, paano nga pag wala kang sabon tsaka tubig? E di magpabili ng mineral water kasi lumabas yun sa board exam dati. Lumabas yun sa board exam. Pag wala daw tubig, ano daw ang gagawin mo? Bumili ng mineral water. Panghugas ng kamay. Kasi nandun yung hand-based sanitizers, nandun yung wet wipes. So ang wet wipes po, hindi po yan nare-recommend ng WHO at saka ng CDC. Wet wipes are not recommended to be an alternative of your hand washing. Okay? So huwag niyo kakalimutan yan. So hand hygiene, the hand washing time should last 40 to 60 seconds. The best time to perform hand washing is up to 1 full minute. 1 full minute. The longer the time, the better. Okay? 40 to 60 seconds pala, sorry. 40 to 60 seconds or 1 full minute. Minimum time kasi each hands is 15 seconds according to WHO and CDC. But if you read your book by Piliteri, it stated there that 10 seconds is the minimum time for hand washing. Minimum time yun. Pero kailangan sundin natin yung ating Global Health Agency, WHO, 15 seconds each hand. Minimum time. Yan. 15 sa right, 15 sa left. Pero kailangan, ang average time dapat 20 seconds sa right hand mo, 20 seconds sa left hand mo. A total of 40 seconds. Average time. Or maximum best time, 30 seconds each hands para makuha mo yung 60 seconds full time. So, 30 seconds sa right hand, 30 seconds sa left hand. Throughout procedure na po ito, the whole procedure including the drying, rinsing and drying, kasama na po doon. Okay? From wetting to drying. From wetting your hands to drying your hands. Yan, wetting to drying na po yan. Kasama na yung wetting to drying dyan. 40 to 60 seconds. That is the best time for your hand washing. Malinaw po? Huwag kakalimutan. Next, let's talk about your mode of transmissions. Mode of transmission number 1, we have your contact transmission. So it is the most frequent mean of transmitting infection in the healthcare facility. It can be direct or indirect transmission. Ito po yung pinaka-common na mode of transmission. Karamihan ng sakit, ito po ay pwedeng ma-transmit via direct or indirect contact. So it is the most frequent mean of transmission of infection in the healthcare facilities. It can be direct or indirect contact. Yan, lumalabas sa board exam, contact transmission. So pag sinabi nating direct contact is a transmission of an infectious agent via skin-to-skin contact, kissing, and sexual intercourse. Example dyan, yung ating skin-to-skin contact, leprosy, ano pa? Yung kissing disease natin, yung infectious mononucleosis. Yung tawagin natin, yun yung ating kissing disease, infectious mononucleosis. And sexual intercourse like your HIV and other STI or sexually transmitted infection. Ano pa? Contact with soil or vegetation with infectious organism like your histoplasmosis, toxoplasmosis, and the anthrax. And hookworm. Hookworm can be acquired via direct contact with contaminated soil, especially if you are walking barefooted, wala kang sapin sa paa, di ka nagchichinelas, tapos naglakad ka lang sa lupa, yung hookworm, pwedeng i-hook niya yung sarili niya sa inyong paa. Okay? Kaya siya tinawag na hookworm because it hooks itself into the soles of your foot. That is your hookworm. Again, direct contact is by means of skin-to-skin contact, kissing, and your sexual intercourse. Example of diseases, infectious mononucleosis, HIV, leprosy, or other STIs, and hookworm. Yan. Hookworm kasi hinuhook niya yung sarili niya sa inyong talampakan. Okay? So those are the diseases under your direct contact. Direct contact. Sa indirect contact naman natin, it is the transfer of infectious agent from a reservoir to a host by suspended particles in an inanimate objects or vectors. Indirect transmission ang tawag doon. So katulad ng mga bed linens, mga towels, blankets. So yun yung mga pwede maging mga vehicles ng ating mga microorganism. So pag nagkaroon ka ng contact sa mga contaminated belongings ng ating infectious patient, then it can be via indirect transmission. Nakuha po, kunwari na-puncture mo yung sarili mo sa needle na ginamit mo sa HIV or hepatitis B positive patient, that is your indirect transmission. Indirect transmission kasi, tinurok mo yung needle sa patient, tapos na-injury mo yung self mo, indirect yun. O di kaya may scabies yung pasyente mo, tapos yung bed linen niya is hindi napalitan, tapos nahiga yun yung mga other members of the family sa kanyang kama, so nagkandahawaan, indirect transmission yun. Ano pa? Pwede rin po itong carried by your 5 Fs. Anong 5 Fs natin? 5 F. Yan. It can be carried by your fingers. Fingers. Kamay. Carried by your foods, pagkain. Fingers, fomites. Ano bang fomites? Mga bagay-bagay, mga inanimate objects like your doorknobs. Okay, sulat ko para alam nyo. Mga 5 Fs kung tawagin natin. Transmitted via 5 Fs kung tawagin. Ano mga 5 Fs natin? Number 1, fingers. Hinawakan mo yung fomites. Yan. Okay, fingers, fomites, tapos meron tayo ditong feces. Tapos naghanda ka ng pagkain, food. Tapos dinala ng langaw, flies. So these are the 5 Fs of indirect transmission. They are the vehicles. Yan, indirect contact transmission. Okay, nagets po ba? So yung mikrobyo, pwedeng dala-dala mo yan sa kamay mo or sa mga fomites like the doorknobs, microphones, or any inanimate objects. Sa feces, alam niyo naman yan, madumi ang pupo na tao. Tapos naghanda ka ng pagkain, tapos nilangaw. That is your 5 Fs for indirect transmission. O nakakasabay po? 5 Fs of indirect transmission. So that is your indirect contact transmission. Ano yun? But di po 70% alcohol. Recommended ng CDC, WHO, at least 60% alcohol. Okay na yun. Eh di mas okay kung 70% ang ginagamit ninyo. Kasi ang recommended lang naman is at least 60%. Okay na siya. O Indian street food, so makinakamay-kamay yan. Tapos may mga langaw-langaw na nasa Facebook. Okay, so yun na. So we have your 5 Fs for your indirect contact transmission of diseases under your contact transmission. Ngayon, what are the diseases classified under your contact precaution? Ano yung mga kailangan ay nasa contact precaution? So, the diseases under your contact precaution should, we have your mnemonics here, Mrs. Wheat mnemonics. M, mga multi-drug resistant organism like your methicillin drug resistance, MRSA kung tawagin natin. MRSA infection. So MRSA infection is under your contact transmission. Ano pa? Respiratory infections. Contact transmission din po yan. Ano pa? Skin infections like your wound, tetanus, ringworm, scabies. Contact, lumabas sa board exam. Ano pa? We have also your HIV, syempre, or STIs. Contact din yan. Any form of sexually transmitted infection, classified po yan as contact disease. Kaya kapag meron kang pasyenteng pag meron kang pasyenteng HIV positive, dalawa po ang gagamitin mong precaution dyan. We have to institute contact precaution and the standard precaution. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. Dalawa po yan. Contact precaution and standard precaution kapag HIV positive po siya. Ano pa? Wound infections. Next, enteric infections like your gastrointestinal disease or yung tatawag natin na Clostridium difficile infection. Yan. Clostridium difficile. Clostridium difficile infection. And conjunctivitis. Siyempre, yung mga conjunctivitis or sore eyes, yan po ay contact precaution yan. Kaya nga, pinagbabawal ang sharing of blankets, sharing of towelettes or towels kapag meron kang conjunctivitis because it can be easily passed from one person to another via contact precaution. Okay? So ito po yung mga sakit na ginagamitan natin ng contact precaution. So Mrs. Wick, multi-drug resistant organism like your MRSA, respiratory infection, skin infection like your wound, tetanus, ringworm, and scabies, and HIV and other STIs. Next, wound infections, enteric infections like your gastrointestinal diseases, lahat ng klase ng pagtatae. Pasok po dyan yung cholera, giardiasis, amoebiasis, at saka typhoid fever. Okay? Contact din po yon. And eye infection like your sore eyes or the conjunctivitis. So they can you can use there your contact precaution. Okay? So the shore diseases. Nakuha po? Mga contact precaution diseases. Anong ibig sabihin ng MRS? Multi-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. MRSA is the methicillin resistant. Yan. Methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus. Yan. Methicillin. That is a drug. Methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus. MRSA. Methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. Yan yung ibig sabihin ng ng ating MRSA. Yan, okay? So yan po yung mga examples natin ng ating contact precaution diseases. Okay, skin infections, mga sugat, mga ringworm, mga scabies, mga wound infections, mga enteric infections caused by Clostridium difficile infection, and conjunctivitis or sore eyes or the eye infection. Yan, contact transmission po sila. Next, another is the vehicle transmission. It involves the transfer of microorganism by vehicles. Gumagamit po sila ng mga foods. Example, kapag kumain ka ng milk and dairy foods, you can be at risk for listeriosis. Kumain ka naman ng pagkain na may salmonella, you can be at risk for salmonellosis. Sa blood naman, meron dyan mga hepatitis. Hepatitis B and hepatitis C only. Yan, hepatitis B and hepatitis C only. So pag tinanong ka sa board exam, what is the mode of transmission of hepatitis C? Sagot mo sa board exam, bloodborne. Kasi vehicle transmission po siya. Bloodborne po siya. Kapag namang mga listeriosis, foodborne. Bakit foodborne? Kasi nakukuha yan sa pagkain ng mga contaminated milk and dairy products. Pag vehicle, mga foodborne, bloodborne, mga ganun yan. Yun ang tinatawag natin na vehicle route. Foodborne, waterborne, bloodborne, so yun. Kunwari, uminom ka ng tubig na madumi, nagkaroon ka ng giardiasis, so that is a waterborne disease. Vehicle transmission. Gumagamit sila ng vehicle or sakayan ng mga agent para makapasok sa katawan mo. Sumasakay sila sa tubig, sumasakay sila sa pagkain, sumasakay sila sa dugo para maihawa yan sa ibang tao. That is your vehicle transmission. Pwedeng foodborne, pwedeng waterborne, pwedeng bloodborne. Okay? Again, hepatitis B, HIV, at saka HCV can also be a bloodborne disease. O, nakuha po? Precaution for HIV, contact and standard precaution. Yan. Next, we have your droplet transmission. So pag sinabi natin droplet, droplets are body fluids. So it refers to the spray with relatively large, short-range aerosol produced by sneezing, coughing, or even talking. So large particles po ito. Large particles pag sinabi natin droplets. So these droplets do not remain suspended in the air for very long period. And they seldomly travels for not more than 3 feet around. So yun yung keyword mo sa board exam. Kapag ang isang droplet droplet ay hindi umaabot ng more than 3 feet, that is a droplet transmission. And always remember, droplets cannot be suspended into the air. Di po niya kayang magpalutang-lutang sa hangin ng matagal. Di niya kayang sumakay sa mga dust particles katulad ng airborne. Okay, kasi malalaki yan. Kunwari, nagsasalita ako, bawat talsik ng laway ko, umaabot lang yan ng 3 feet distance. 3 feet distance lang or 1 meter away. So yun, 3 feet lamang yan. 3 feet distance lamang yung aabutin niya. So malalaking particles kasi ng laway yan pag sinabing droplets. Except na lamang sa mga saliva droplets natin kapag ang sakit mo ay COVID-19 tsaka SARS-CoV. Kasi pag mga SARS-CoV at saka mga Neisseria meningitis, kaya pong lumagpas ng mga ito ng more than 6 feet. Especially kapag nasa mga enclosed spaces ka, kaya po nila itong lumagpas ng more than 6 feet. Pero pag yung mga ordinary lang ng mga viruses or bacteria, hindi po yan lalagpas ng 3 feet kapag droplets. Okay? Huwag niyong kakalimutan. Keyword mo yung distance. Pag less than 3 feet distance, that is a droplet. Droplet po yan. At kapag di niya kayang masuspend sa air ng more than a long period of time or for a long period of time, that is a droplet. Kasi pag nasususpend sa hangin, that is airborne. Pag hindi nasususpend sa hangin, that is droplet. Nagets po? So huwag niyong kakalimutan. Nasa handouts po ito. So what are the diseases here? We have your Spiderman mnemonics. So ito naman yung mga sakit na kailangan in-institute mo yung ating institute your droplet precaution. Kapag ang isang bata ay may streptococcal infection, yung mga sore throat, mga streptococcal pharyngitis kung tawagin natin. Kapag may pharyngitis or sore throat, apply your droplet precaution. Ano pa? Scarlet fever. Ano pa? Pertussis, pneumonia, and the parvovirus B19. So yung pneumonia, naka-droplet precaution po yung patient dyan. Pertussis, naka-droplet precaution kasi nga ubo ng ubo ang mga ito. Ano bang droplet? Talsik ng laway. Okay? So dapat naka-droplet precaution. Next, influenza or trangkaso. Ano pa? Diphtheria. Ano pa? Epiglottitis. Rubella is also a droplet precaution disease. And the MMR. Mumps, measles, meningitis. Yan, lumalabas sa board exam. If you are caring for a child with meningitis, you must maintain the child under your droplet precaution for up to 24 hours up to 24 hours from the start of antibiotic therapy. Yan. So kahit nag-antibiotic na siya, kailangan naka-droplet precaution pa rin po siya up to 24 hours from the start of antibiotic therapy kasi nakakahawa pa rin po siya. After 24 hours, medyo hindi na siya nakakahawa pag nasimula mo na mag-antibiotic. That is your meningitis. Next, adenovirus infection. Pag sinabi mong adenovirus infection, that is your common cold. Sipon lamang po yan. Okay? Kapag sipon, that is droplet. And the novel coronavirus or the COVID-19. So, COVID-19 primary mode of transmission according to WHO and CDC is respiratory droplets. So, huwag niyo kakalimutan. So, these are the diseases under your droplet precaution. So, any question po sa ating droplet precaution diseases? Ayan, wala. So, droplet precaution. So, don't worry, nasa handouts po yan. So, again, keyword mo, basta sakit sa ngalangala at lalamunan, naka-droplet precaution po yan. Sakit sa ngalangala, streptococcal infection, sore throat po yan. Scarlet fever, pertussis sa lalamunan, pneumonia sa lalamunan at baga, parvovirus, influenza, ano yan, sa lalamunan din yan. Diphtheria, lalamunan, epiglottitis, lalamunan. Rubella, meron din siyang cough and cold. Mumps, sa parotid glands mo or sa inyong parotid glands. Next, adenovirus sa ilong. Next, COVID-19, may cough and colds. So, pag may sakit sa lalamunan, naka-droplet precaution po yung ating pasyente. Ang importante dyan na sinabi ko, meningitis. After commencing antibiotic therapy, the child must be placed still under your droplet precaution up to 24 hours. And up to 24 hours. Next, airborne transmission. Pag airborne transmission, it is the droplet nuclei. So take note, droplet particle are larger than your droplet nuclei. Pag sinabi mo ng droplet nuclei, these are the droplet residues less than 5 microns na. Sobrang liit na po ito. Ito yung mga talsik ng laway mo na kayang sumakay sa mga alikabok. Okay? Sa mga alikabok na lumilipad-lipad. Pansinin nyo sa umaga, buksan ang bintana tapos pumunta ka sa part na merong sunlight, yung rays of the sun. Mapapansin mo doon sa sinag ng araw, may mga nagsisiliparan na puti-puting maliliit. Yun yung mga dust particles natin. Doon sa mga dust particles na maliliit na lumilipad na yan, may mga microorganisms na nakasakay dyan. At yung mga microorganisms na nakasakay dyan, sila yung mga airborne disease kung tawagin natin. Napansin nyo na po ba yung sinasabi ko? Na kapag tumingin ka sa isang maliwanag or merong dalawa po ang measles, it's either airborne or droplet. Napansin nyo ba yon? Pag binuksan mong bintana, tapos may pumapasok na sinag ng araw, makikita mo doon sa rays of the sun, may mga parang maliliit na puti na nagsisiliparan. Yun yung mga dust particles. At doon po sumasakay itong mga microorganisms natin under airborne transmission. So yun po yun. Okay, so I think napansin nyo po yan. Yan. So these droplet nuclei are very tiny so that they can remain suspended into the air for a long period of time. Okay? for a long period of time or when the dust particles contains the pathogen. Example po ng mga droplet natin na, example ng ating mga airborne precaution diseases natin, we have your measles, we have your TB, and we have your varicella. COVID-19 can also be airborne transmission in case na kapag nasa ikaw ay nasa mga enclosed spaces, yung mga merong poor ventilation. Yan. So, pwede maging airborne yan kapag masyadong enclosed yung space at poor ventilated yung place. Yung umiikot-ikot na lamang yung hangin doon. Siyempre, kapag ubo ng ubo yung isang tao sa loob ng room, nakasara yung mga pinto at bintana, di umiikot lang ng umiikot yung hangin. So, it can be airborne yan kapag sa mga enclosed spaces. But generally, measles, TB, and varicella are classified under your communicable diseases as an airborne transmission disease. Yan, airborne transmission. And these airborne transmitted diseases requires your N95 mask. N95 mask. Yan, okay. Next, vector-borne transmission. Alam niyo na yan, mga mosquitoes, animals, fleas, and ticks. Yung mga dinadala ng mga aso. Next, portal of entry. Portal of entry refers to the manner in which a pathogen enters a host. Kasi entry. Manner in which a pathogen enters a susceptible host. That is the entry. Example, influenza virus enters the respiratory tract. Then fecal-oral diseases enters the gastrointestinal enteritis. Yan. Skin, hookworm naman yan. Syphilis, mucous membrane. Hepatitis B and your HIV, blood. Yan yung mga portal of entry nila. Yan, portal of entry. Ang influenza virus pwedeng pumasok sa ating respiratory tract. Pwedeng sa ating ilong. Yan, that is short, portal of entry. Pag mga pagtatae naman or gastroenteritis, pwedeng pumasok sa bibig. Sa hookworm naman, sa skin. Syphilis, mucous membrane like your vagina and your lips. And hepatitis B and HIV via your blood. That is your portal of entry. Pinapasukan ng mga mikrobyo. Next, we have now your prevention of your portal of entry. So, kailangan para hindi sila makapasok sa ating katawan, you must wear an appropriate PPE. Yan, personal protective equipment. So, in donning of your PPE, we have your Goma Go Glow mnemonics. Goma Go Glow. What is Goma Go Glow? Gown muna. Mauna lagi yung boot covers natin, yung mga shoe covers natin. Mauna lagi yan. Di ko na lang nilagay sa ating mnemonics. Isipin mo na lang, una ang sapatos. Yan, shoe cover. Then Goma Go Glow. Donning means putting on. Pag ilalagay mo yung ating PPE, you must proceed in a manner of Goma Go Glow. What is Goma Go Glow? Go means gown. Ma means mask. Go means your goggles and your glow means your gloves. Huli po natin nilalagay, sinusot yung gloves. Goma Glow Glow. Yan. Goma Go Glow. Goma Go Glow for donning of your PPE. Goma Go Glow for donning of your PPE. Yan. Pero bago yung ating Goma Glow Glow, kailangan protected na yung shoe mo. Shoe covers muna or boot covers muna tayo. Yan. Kinagawa yan sa ating hot areas, hot spot areas. So boot covers, gown, mask, goggles, and gloves. Next, doffing or the taking off. Alphabetical order na po tayo dyan. Okay, so you have your boot cover first, then gloves, goggles, gown, then mask. Gloves, goggles, gown, and mask. Alphabetical order. Ano man mas nauna, yung gog or go? Siyempre yung goggles yan. So we have your boot covers, we have your gloves, we have your goggles, and your gown, then mask. Huli mong tatanggalin yung mask dyan yan. We have your alphabetical order. Again, Goma Go Glow and alphabetical order. So we have your boot covers, gloves, goggles, gown, and your mask. So para alam mo yung doffing natin, dapat isulat mo muna tapos i-arrange mo siya alphabetically. So anong nauna, GL or GO? Mauna yung GL syempre. GL muna bago yung GO. Ano mas nauna, GOG or GOW? Syempre GOG muna bago GOW. Then mask. So alphabetical yung order niya. Yun po yung ating technique dyan para hindi mo malimutan. We have our alphabetical sequencing. Boot covers, gloves, goggles, gown, and mask. That is the set standard by your WHO. Pero depende na lang yan sa inyong health facility. Pero ito po yung ating recommended by WHO and CDC. Hindi po na mahahawa ang nanay kapag nagpasuso siya. Kasi meningitis na sa utak na po ni baby yun. Okay, then last we have your host. The final link of the chain of infection. Yan. So the final link in the chain of infection is the susceptible host. Nasabi ko na kanina yan. So we have your compromised host o yung mga susceptible host. Sila yung mga malnourished, may mga comorbidities or illnesses, yung nagkaroon ng trauma and immunosuppress. May immunosuppress natin yung may mga SLE, yung may mga HIV, may leukemia or any form of cancer, or mga pasyenteng nag-undergo ng corticosteroid therapy. So they are considered as the susceptible host. Mga susceptible, mga pregnant, children, and newborns. So malinaw po tayo sa ating chain of infection. So ayan. So ito naman yung ating INI. So I think dito po tayo mag-i-end ngayon. So mamayang gabi, ang topic natin is sanitation and sanitation at saka yung ating family health. Kasama na dyan yung ating mga home visit at saka yung ating mga bag technique. Yan, mamayang gabi. So any question po? May naintindihan naman po ba sa araw na to? Introduction of communicable diseases. For your handouts, give me 30 minutes bago ko 30 minutes. Ido-double check ko muna. Okay. So sa mga inaantok na, matulog na muna kayo kasi mamayang gabi pa naman ang ating next session, alas 8 ng gabi. 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Another link na naman po yan. Bagong link na naman po yan para di makapasok ang outsiders. Yan. Yes po, handouts mamaya.